So I absolutely understand why people are up in arms and why people didn't like, The Witcher season 2. I've barely started watching The Witcher season 1 like a couple months ago. I actually really really liked it, and it was confusing with the time jumping and the different narrative process of that season 1, and to come into season 2 and it's more coherent. Even though I think season 1 actually it all came together at the end, which was more unique. Season 2, I've seen so much backlash and so much people just absolutely not liking this season because it is not the same source material as the book or the game, or they cover a little bit of the book. They just kind of jump around with a lot of the storylines and stuff. And I absolutely understand coming to a fan base, being a fan of a lot of stuff in media that they changed or they kind of messed up, like Star Wars and you could say Avatar when they do when they did the live adaptation. So I understand where the fans are coming from. I'm like, I don't read the books. I never played the games. I've seen my buddy play the games, but I've never played the games or read any of the books. So I'm kind of definitely there's different insight, pretty much different kind of point of view if you're listening to this review, because I actually really liked season 2. I thought season 2 was actually pretty good. I'm very into this world, and I know a lot of people are probably going to comment below like, oh, you should play the games or you should read the books. I ain't got time for that. I'm really into just I was into Game of Thrones. I never read the books, but I knew they differ from a lot of the source material. So The Witcher kind of did the same thing, which, I don't know if the source material was a lot better. It probably was. But what they did for season 2, I actually pretty enjoyed. I think the strongest part out of the whole season was Ciri. I mean, Ciri, I was wondering what was so odd about her, but I think in season 1 she had no eyebrows, and then in season 2 she does have eyebrows. I thought she was definitely the more interesting part of the whole thing because of the whole series. Like, she's with Geralt. I hope I said that right. Those two it's like a father and daughter kind of relationship, which I still kind of don't feel like that in the show, even though it's presented very heavily. I just really feel like, that father daughter relationship I've seen kind of more better in chemistry in other kind of films and TV. You could even say like Dr. Alan Grant in Jurassic Park, when he doesn't like kids at first, but then like he takes these kids as kind of like to help make sure that they survive this whole experience, and he it's like kind of like a father to son to daughter relationship, which I think that works a lot better than kind of The Witcher season 2. But there's a lot of you get your favorites like Yennefer's back, Geralt is here. Ciri, actually, I that's why I think she's the strong point, because she kind of evolves throughout the season and she's training. So the Geralt and the Ciri relationship is it is like one of the strong points in here. I just think it could have been done a little bit better, or just maybe the chemistry is just not all there. But I can see it's still there, and Geralt is Henry Cavill does such a fantastic job with this character, and you see the love that he has for this character, and he's just putting it his all basically. And I'm glad they give him a little bit more to do here. It's to really kind of showcase his acting and to showcase his fight scenes. And when the fight scenes happen, they're really really good. I mean, especially towards the tail end of the season, there's some great fight choreography going on in here. And I think what I really liked about too is the expansion of kind of the world and getting introduced to some newer things that are going to either happen in the next season or is like planting the seeds in this season. And I really enjoy like seeing the other Witchers and seeing the different kind of personalities. I know they absolutely butcher one Witcher in this season. His character is completely off the rails, and that is super justified that everybody is so mad about that. I absolutely agree. But the makeup, especially when we get into the Witcher domain, and the prosthetics and the creature designs are so great. They look so good. So I absolutely believe they really put more money into this, more just overall kind of effort into this season. I mean, it looks really, really good. You really are immersed in the world. The one episode that really got me, and I think it's the best episode, honestly, through the whole season. And I wish we get a little bit more of that. I know it's based off the short story on one of the Witcher books, but it's the first episode, I believe, and it's the one where Geralt and Ciri is they're pretty kind of looking for kind of like a place to stay, and they run into his like one old buddy who's been cursed, and it's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast kind of type episode, and it is wonderful. It is shocking at the end of the episode, and that's kind of it doesn't really work into the whole overall series or the season. It doesn't really change the story going forward. It's just kind of like a one-off kind of episode, but it works beautifully. And I believe one of the actors is what's his name from Game of Thrones, one of the wildlings, and he just kills it. He nails it. I love his voice, and I love the interaction he has with these characters. The monsters in this series, even though I wanted a little bit more, they're very creative. Introducing the elves was also very interesting in the season. There was a lot of lore in here, and sometimes it can get confusing, but then you kind of understand what's going on and what kind of magic's happening, or even other dimensions that are going on in this season as a whole. Yennefer is another big character in this season. I felt like I felt like this was Ciri's season, honestly. Yennefer was there, but I think she was more intriguing in the first season, just because they kind of introduced her, you got her backstory, and in this season it was more of, kind of where she was laid a path. I don't want to spoil anything, but she was laid a path to where she needed to be, especially with Geralt and Ciri. You get characters from the first season coming back, little reunions here and there. You see different characters with different motivations now going into the season. I think the acting is all stellar all around. I think in a series like this, you want to give it your all. I mean, Geralt's and Yennefer's relationship was I don't know. I don't feel like it's the most. It is developed, but it's not like my favorite pairing. Even with the inclusion with Triss getting a little bit more screen time and a little bit more kind of interaction between the Witchers and also Ciri herself through the season, even though I don't really find Triss that fascinating either. So the love interest for Geralt's his whole season, or these last two seasons, it's like a hit or a miss. Either you like it or don't. I don't mind it. I do like Yennefer as a character as in general, even though I like the motivation, not having kids, and maybe regretting a lot of her past decisions. And I think a lot of these characters kind of regret on that's the whole thing, right? They regret on things they've done, and that's what that first episode was really about too. So I think the first episode really pulls you in, and it goes into the grander of stories, which is fine. I mean, I do like a lot of what they're presenting this season and what they're kind of setting up for next season. It's interesting to me. It's an interesting world where I don't even like magic or anything like that of the sort, but Game of Thrones kind of turned me back on. And how that ended. So I'm hoping this season, a lot of people are an uproar of just, the changes, and I could definitely understand that. But as a personal kind of noob and going into the series, I actually really enjoyed the second season. If I had to choose between the two seasons, I think I liked this first season a little bit more, because Ciri's grandmother was like a beast, man. And that timeline, even though it was so shocking and took some time to get used to, with the events like kind of scattered all over the place, it really was a huge payoff at the end of season one. So I absolutely kind of loved that. I think the creatures designs, if I'm thinking right now, because it has been a while since I've seen the first season, I think the creature designs were a lot better this season, and the CGI. So I think that was handled so well. The ending of season 2 is pretty bonkers, and it kind of it's gonna, I know in the books it doesn't happen until like the 7th book, but in this season, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow, because you kind of get a new light of a certain character that gets revealed, and it is kind of a twist, shocking ending. And I'm really curious to see where they go after this, and if they do stay more close to the material on season 3. And you know, I like this series. I really think there's a lot to like about the Witcher series. Is it the greatest thing on television? It's not. Arcane is. Arcane is the best thing on Netflix, but it's very enjoyable. It's you breeze by it pretty fast. I really binged watched it. It took me 2 days. I think there's only like 9 episodes. The one thing I do hope is that we get a little bit more of the other Witchers in maybe the next season, and more of the elf lore, because the elf lore is intriguing and interesting, and there's some brutal moments when it comes to the elves in this season too, and there's just this brutal moments in general in this season. So especially the ending of that first episode, I was like, what did he just say? So yeah, what did you guys think of The Witcher Season 2? Did you like it? Are you mad because they changed a lot of the material? They didn't stick with the source material. For me, for being a noob, for being just a general audience, I enjoyed it. So it's kind of interesting to be in a different kind of perspective than when I'm usually at, because usually I know everything about the lore and when I'm coming into something, but this one I don't know what's going on outside of just the series. I just know a little bit of the games and nothing really of the books. So thank you guys for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Would really appreciate it. Like the video if you like it, and comment below. I need to hear you guys' thoughts on The Witcher Season 2. And go ahead and check out all my other videos. I do have the Arcane Season 1 video up from Netflix, and that show is absolutely amazing. And I'll probably cover a little bit more of The Witcher as well. Alright guys, you guys have a good one. Bye-bye.